Welcome back to ATL Day Ones. I am Tenitra, and that is Jarvis, and we are the dynamic duo that keeps you guys coming back to every
Love that
platform where
word.
you download your podcast and giving us five-star reviews. But we're not going to get too ahead of ourselves, and we're not going to get the big heads because we are still humble and appreciative for every single thing you
I'm
do.
not.
Okay, that makes one of us. So it kind of blows up the whole idea of a dynamic duo.
Right.
No. It's flying solo on me already, y'all. This is not a good way to start the segment. But
That's
you
all
know
I'm
what it
trying
is?
to.
What's great is when you guys come back despite, in spite of, and
My
because
foolishness.
of all at the same time. ATL Day Ones, even on the Locked On Sports Network on YouTube. We appreciate you guys because you keep getting us closer and closer and closer to 4,000
Yes.
subscribers. Man, that is utterly and completely amazing. And you know what else I was going to say was amazing for me? It was actually pretty exciting. Was watching that final preseason game for Falcons Jaguars. I like the fire. I like the fire
Yeah,
I
it was
saw.
cool.
Now, I will admit, my favorite part of the whole experience was being introduced to Coach Liam Smith at the podium post game. The 2-year-old took the show. He took over the show.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, it was such a great moment. But anywho, it's always easier to have those types of moments after a win, regardless of if it's in preseason or not. So Jarvis, I'm excited about what I saw for the most part. How about you? What were some of the takeaways? Even if there are some not so good takeaways, but what were some of the good takeaways for you from Saturday's game?
Yeah, just overall, I think that a lot of times, a lot of the narratives, the hot take narratives, as if I can use the Arthur Smith quote that go around during this time of the year is that preseason don't matter. And
Right.
I'm just sitting there watching the game and just watching how those guys like Derek Tangelo and Nick Thurman and Quentin Bell out there just going absolutely crazy out there trying to earn a roster spot. And that's
Yeah.
cool to see. That's dope to see. As a guy who couldn't make it to the NFL or who didn't smell a practice in the NFL, a guy who, had a workout to try to go into the NFL, that is a dope thing to see. Guys
Yeah.
like that knowing good and well, like, hey, this is my chance. This is my shot to make this team, and I'm going to try to take full advantage of it. And to see it, I think it was just super cool to see those guys out there just doing that absolute thing. I absolutely love that. It was just really dope to see.
Yeah, and I did as well. Uh, I'm going to get back to some of those like Tangelo in a minute, so I want to hold that thought from you because I don't want to go too far ahead. But one of my positive takeaways, since we talked a little bit about defense, I want to talk about on offense because when you get out there and you're kind of given a little bit more leeway in game three versus game two, and I'm talking Desmond Ritter, they're throwing a
Yes.
little bit more at you. They're opening up the
Mm-hmm.
playbook a little bit more, and you have an interception. I really like the poise and
Yeah.
yeah, and I like the selective amnesia. Forget about that series, get back out there and show us what you're worth. I think that shows so much growth in just a short period of time. And that goes back to something you and I were talking about last week, where Arthur Smith knew he could go at him. He knew he could just tell Desmond Ritter straight, no chaser, what he wasn't doing wrong, what he was doing wrong, and a little bit of what he was doing well, but mostly getting at him about, hey, this is what needs to be done. And then Desmond Ritter really receiving that message. And I feel like we saw a little bit of that produce itself in game three. So yeah, he was my guy where I was like, yeah, that's what you want to see in the individual who is fighting to show you that at some point this season, which most people expect, that at some point this season, he may take over the reins as QB1. He showed you a little bit about what he could be if and when he's given that role. So when I think
And,
about that,
yeah.
oh, go ahead. Yeah, yeah.
I was just gonna say like that's what we talked about, that thing where Arthur Smith talk about certain things transferring right
Yes.
from what you see in practice and all that thing into the game, and then that poise, right? Because we were really impressed while we were out there and got a chance to speak to in rookie OTAs when we
Hmm.
got a chance to talk with Desmond Ritter. We were just
Yes.
like kind of like taken aback, like, oh my God, this dude is just like answering each question, boom, 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 and not he didn't sound like a rookie. He almost sounded like
Right.
a veteran. How he was just handling the media and how he was speaking to certain things when it comes to being a quarterback in the NFL when he's necessarily haven't been a quarterback in the NFL just yet.
Right.
So I think that those are the type of things that you like to see, right? Like the impressions that you get from him, you want to see those things carry over to the field. And I think that you made an excellent point. Like that's exactly what he did. Like, yeah, I may have messed up on the pick, but yeah, I'm still gonna be me. I'm still gonna come back and get right and go on a 15 play drive and take
Yeah.
off 9 minutes off the clock and get my defense a rest so they can come back out, start balling, and give me the ball back and try to go score again. I think that it just that type of stuff spreads like wildfire, just like negativity and all this and bad turnovers can spread like wildfire. He turned it into a positive, and I think that it kind of carried itself throughout the entire game.
It did. It really, really did. And I think, again, it was a sneak peek into what we could possibly see in the fall. Now, listen, the one thing you all never have to get a sneak peek into, because we tell you about it each and every day, and we get excited telling you about it each and every day, is Coffee AM.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Take me a little sip of this coffee AM because you know what I'm sipping on today? I'm gonna go, I had to go international on these folks, T.
Okay.
Sumatra black satin. It just sounds amazing, right?
That's
See how
so good.
you see her reaction? That's what I do every time I take a sip of coffee AM because the website, I'm going to tell you the website, then I'm gonna continue to tell you why. Coffeeam.com/locked on. Go to the website right now. And just stick around. I'm gonna give you a nice little code. You can get your little change off. But gotta finish talking about Sumatra Black Satin because it is something that it gets my soul going in the morning, T. Because I get up early, I get my workout on, and then once I come back, I may be feeling a little bit of tired because I be getting it in, doing my thing. You know what that pick me up? I'm going straight to my cabinet and I'm going to go get Coffee AM because it is the best small batch coffee roaster in the entire country, and they got everything that you need, whether it be coffee, get tea, got the gift sets and everything, and they just have everything you need if you want to get your coffee on. And if you don't like coffee, you got some good tea because tea, she be on the tea.
Yes.
Imagine that concept. So, all right, now that you're ready to go buy and get this Coffee AM, I got a coupon code for you. Go to the coupon code box, coffeeam.com/locked on, and go ahead and put in the code locked on. You're going to get 15% off your first purchase of all coffee, teas, and gift sets. Coffeeam.com/locked on. Drop in the coupon code box locked on. You're going to get 15% off. Go there right after the show.
Yes, yes, yes. And we'll go from talking about what you can do with the code locked on to who might get locked up, as in the 53-man roster. Tomorrow at 4 o'clock is the deadline for all NFL teams to trim their roster. And it's a tough one. This is going to be a tough one because now you're going literally from 80 to 53. And that last game, that game 3, was the final shot for some players to make the case to stay with the team. So, Jarvis, give me maybe one guy on offense and maybe one guy on defense who you felt like in that final game, they made the case for themselves.
I think that offensively, I think it got to be Frank Darby because I know that, he's a guy that on special teams was flying down there, making a tackle on. You saw that as a guy who's a fringe guy, you have to be able to play special teams. You got to take it seriously. And I think that he showed that, and he caught a nice, beautiful deep ball thrown to him by Desmond Ritter. He snatched that bad boy right out the air. He was able to beat man coverage. That's what you want to see from a wide receiver in the NFL, and he was able to do that. So I think that he made a solid case, to at least be in the conversations for like, okay, we drafted this guy. We know that he's a fun guy to have on the team. We know that, but at the end of the day, you're here to play football. So it was good to see him get some plays then. And then defensively, I got to go with Quentin Bell. And I know notice I'm talking about guys playing special teams, not necessarily for, starting on defense, but he made a case. Like you go out there and block a punt, I think that you definitely make a case for, being on this squad. And we know your boy Marquise is gonna be pounding the table. Like I need Quentin and I need Frank if we're gonna be great. So yes, those are guys that definitely Those guys are definitely the guys that stood out for me. T.
Yeah, no, and we love Marquise on this show, so I can just
Yes,
imagine that he was so pleased, sort of like, Papa or Uncle or whatever,
proud
where
papa.
he did that. Now, for me, it's interesting because I will agree, by the way, on both of those choices, and I'll just add Kadero Hodge to the mix on offense.
Yes,
I really
yes.
do think, and for me, Jarvis, it wasn't even just about game three. I think you'd agree that it was everything that we saw in camp and just the
Overall,
continued
yeah.
progress
Mm-hmm.
through all three of those preseason games. I definitely believe he made the case for himself. Also, I would say, going back to one of your calls earlier in terms of what you liked that you saw Saturday, I would say Derek Tangelo
Mm-hmm.
definitely made a case for himself. And one of the reasons I think so as well, even if just by default, I believe, unfortunately, when we talk about making the cut, which we'll get into right now, real quick, I don't think Marlon Davidson is necessarily going to get cut,
Ooh.
but I do think he's probably going to be put on that
Mm,
IR, and that
yeah.
might be his way
Injury
out.
settlement may be coming.
There you go. I don't even
Yes,
have to
prime
continue that
candidate.
conversation. There you go. And that would give Derek Tangelo that opportunity to prove himself because they'll potentially need one more guy. That said, who might actually get the cut? Who might actually be released tomorrow, in your opinion? Just maybe one guy.
You know what?
I know who you're going to
I
say.
hear.
I think we all feel that way. Anybody who's covered this beat, but go
Okay,
ahead.
Jalen Mayfield. I gotta go ahead and say
Oh,
it, T.
okay,
Yeah, Jalen
okay. We're
Mayfield.
ready for
I
that
know
one.
you probably who I know, got an idea who you probably think I was going about to say, but
Mhm.
Jalen Mayfield is a guy, and Marlon Davidson as well. I think that's a good candidate as well. But
Mhm.
Jalen Mayfield, when you think about what the being able to move forward on this team and admit to your mistakes, right? Arthur Smith admitted to his mistake of not playing his starters in the first year. He played his starters this year and admitted it. Such like, yeah, that probably wasn't a good idea. Let me go. And I don't know how much they had an effect on us against the Eagles, but I will be playing my starters this year. Get it.
Mhm.
Understand. The people who make mistakes, they admit to them and they learn from them. And you know what I'm saying? So I think that Jalen Mayfield, go and cut bait because at the end of the day, you brought in Elijah Wilkinson, who came in and took the spot and earned it. We talked to him about that
Mhm.
process, and I think he's done a solid job in the preseason. And Justin Schaefer, I think he looks solid. I
Yes,
think there's
yes,
promise there.
yes.
There's some promise there. There's
Mhm.
something there at that left guard spot. And I think if you're going to talk about developing a left guard potentially for the future, Schaefer has more promise than Jalen Mayfield, and I'm okay with saying that. I don't whatever anybody else says, I don't care. But I can sit up here and say that I trust Justin Schaefer from a progression standpoint versus Jalen Mayfield. I don't see Jalen Mayfield getting any better, right now. So yeah, Jalen Mayfield will be my cut. Probably won't happen because for a lot of reasons, but I think that that's the guy that I feel that hasn't earned a roster spot.
I can agree with that one. And yeah, I called out Justin Schaefer a long time ago and said,
Yes, you
watch
did.
him. I do
Mm-hmm.
believe it may be a project, but I believe it'll be a project that'll pay off, pay dividends in the end. Because unfortunately for him, he had to get shifted a lot when he was
Right.
playing for Georgia. So maybe he didn't get that opportunity to maybe become a master of one as opposed to a jack of all trades, right? But
Yes,
given
indeed.
the right opportunity to become that master, he could be that guy. But yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, don't know if he will get the cut, but maybe he should get the cut in a Jalen
Yes.
Mayfield. Yeah, so no, I absolutely agree with you on that one. And I'll be honest. As tough as this one is, I thought you were going to say Kadri Allison because
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
yeah,
That's a
that
good one.
and that's the
Yeah,
reason I said
that's a
we
good one,
think
T.
that we've all been waiting, waiting, waiting. But when you talk about maybe 100, I believe it was something crazy like either 158 touches or 158 yards. Forgive me for remember for
Mhm.
forgetting. Either way, that's not a good look because
Right.
a if a running back is supposed to get, even if it's running back by committee, and you're supposed to get 15 to 20 touches, at this point in your career, it shouldn't be 158 touches. If that's what it was, that stat that I can remember, but it
Right.
darn sure shouldn't be 158 yards. So that's the person where I would not be shocked if he does not make the cut tomorrow. But Speaking of that, when we talk about guys who can't make the cut, we just don't understand why they can't make the cut in the SEC. But we'll talk about it on the other side in For the Culture.